Well, good afternoon, everybody. I've got 101, and I also just got a little message that my internet connection is unstable. It's the story of my life. I want to welcome everybody to the next forum being presented by the Conference of Southern Graduate Schools. My name is Jack Duraki. I am Dean of the Graduate School at Winthrop University. Jessica, I see you. You look great. It's my pleasure to kind of welcome you formally to this forum. One of the positives that has come out of the current public health crisis is the reimagining how our organization can serve member institutions. And we're very excited to have added this monthly forum to part of the services that we offer. And we started these with a real focus on how we're handling the current crisis. And that's appropriate, and we'll keep moving with that. But we look forward to these for the months and years ahead. And I would also remind everyone that the Conference of Southern Graduate Schools is to serve the graduate education needs in the region of all of our schools, and it's not just for deans and associate vice presidents. We're very excited to have so many folks that work in recruitment joining today. And then I would like to add, we have another forum on Thursday on how to host a 3MT session virtually. So many of our member institutions hold 3-minute thesis competitions. So please encourage your folks to attend. Mary Kaiser from Louisiana Lafayette, wave Mary, will be leading that one on Thursday. And that'll be just really helpful to so many. Now, given that it is the 1st of October-ish, I realize that's not the exact date, we wanted to move to another pressing topic, and that is recruitment. How do we recruit in this environment? And a few folks have come together to build a presentation today, and we really look forward to your participation, everybody on this call. Feel free to use the chat room as much as you can. We'll try to monitor that and bring questions forward and all that. There are a lot of folks who registered for this forum, so we'll do the best we can to manage it and make sure it's a real fruitful use of your time. With that in mind, I would like to pivot and introduce our presenters, and Jamilah McDonald McDaniel, is one, and Jamilah is at the Morehouse School of Medicine, and she's over assessment and operations there. And we also have Sharon McGee, who serves as the Dean of the Graduate School or Graduate Studies at East Tennessee State University, and Lisa Sperling, who helps, we have a bird's eye view of Lisa, and Director of Recruitment for the Graduate School at the University of Georgia. So she's right in the trenches like so many of us involved in graduate education recruitment. So Jamilah, I'm gonna turn it over to you, and then I am not ignoring you. I'm gonna turn off my video so that I don't lose the connection. But anyway, welcome and look forward to the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack. You covered so much of this for us. This is a very popular session, so we're going to try to cover at least 3 topics today. That's organizing external events, as well as diversity in organizing internal events. So we want to give each segment of this session some time. So I am also serving as the timekeeper, and we hope to address many of the questions, because you all sent in some great questions ahead of time for this forum. So we hope to get to some of those during the presentation and discussion. So we'll have some presentation, some discussion, but I will let Sharon, my most capable and lovely co-facilitator, talk more about how the session will run.
Thanks, Jamilah. So I'm Sharon James McGee, and I'm Dean of the College of Graduate and Continuing Studies. We've had a name change with the merger. So, and I just have a list of our facilitators and presenters, and you'll see this slide again at the end in case you want to copy down an email address for anybody to contact them offline. To get started today, though, we want to be sure to acknowledge the recruiters and other staff members who've joined us. I think we speak on behalf of all the deans and associate deans here that we value your contributions to this topic and to this conversation, and we want you to feel free to participate in the discussion. I know sometimes it can be like, oh, there are too many dean people on there, but please, please feel free to participate, speak up, use the chat feature. We want to hear from you. So we'll also say that the three of us kind of talked about this, well, Jamilah and I particularly talked about this as, oh, we'd love to have one of the monthly forums on this, and then we got to lead it, but we don't really know we're like you, we don't have all the answers. So hopefully you can help us out as we go through. But we have three basic topics that we want to talk about today, as Jamilah said: externally organized recruitment events. So those are things that other people host and invite us to, things that would require like a virtual booth, for example. And internally organized recruitment events, those are things that our institutions would host, both domestic and international. And then we're going to touch on diversity recruitment. Each of these topics could be its own 1-hour session, but we're going to just try to run through these and give you a few pieces of information. All of the presenters are really going to stick hard to their 5-minute allotment, and then we're going to have a little bit of discussion following each one, and then we can come back to discussion at the end as well. So our first presenter is Lisa Sperling, and you can see Lisa's lovely picture here.
Glam shots.
Yeah.
What was that?
It's a glam shot.
Oh.
And so Lisa's at the University of Georgia. We put all of our slides together on one, and so I'm going to be running the slideshow, so you'll hear the change slide several times today. But Lisa?
All righty. So hello, everyone. My first slide, I thought I'd show you, because there was questions about what a virtual booth is, what it looks like. For those who are familiar with the GEM conference, this was my virtual booth for the GEM conference. GEM is for underrepresented in engineering and science. And so I thought I'd walk through what a booth might look like. There's several different options. As you can imagine, it was bigger than this screen could capture, so I'm sorry if things are kind of cut off. The first is your logo, and that you typically, whatever booth is hosting or whatever fair is hosting this will tell you what size, you can just get your marketers to crop it. But your logo, there's typically a name, and then of course your social media icons. Now the rest of this will vary in various platforms, and we'll talk about platforms on my next slide. But here's what I did. So for this one, I introduced our video, and that was a great way I found to get people kind of drawn in. You typically at one of these get a place to describe who you are, what you do, if there's academic programs you're focusing on. And the problem with this particular platform was that I wanted to download the recruitment brochures from the various programs that I was kind of helping represent. But as you can see, there's a download button, but it doesn't have a list to it. And I was worried people wouldn't hit the download button or think it was to download the video. So in this text on the About Us, you can't see it because there's a read more right now, but I listed each department that was being represented with a link to their website. The next box they gave us is something called products and services. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't have products and services, so to speak. But what I do have is a really beautiful campus. So I said, okay, let's see what I can do with it. So I uploaded pictures of said beautiful campus. This box down here, we were allowed to submit pictures of who the recruiters were going to be. And so this is me, and this is my friend Margaret, who's over at our College of Engineering. Pictures really matter. Pictures are how they engage, as you can probably intuit. Oh, can we go back to the, sorry. Thank you. No, it's all right. The last box, and again, these are all going to look different depending on what platform you use. It lets you list your phone number, your email, your mailing address, etc. Like I said, the social media is up here. Okay, let's do the next slide, please. Thank you. All right. So here are the virtual booth platforms that I could think of off the top of my head. And when I'm done, I'd love to hear from the rest of you if there's others I have forgotten about or whatnot. So Career Echo was the one that was around way before COVID. And many of you have probably heard of Career Echo or get emails about their various offers. They typically do discipline-specific virtual fairs. But some universities, I'm thinking of like University of Florida had done one via, I think it was Career Echo, prior to anything COVID. Handshake. Handshake, I normally didn't use for recruitment, but I have found that a lot of the career centers on campuses have Handshake. What I'm hearing back from various contacts, though, is that this is not the best platform. It doesn't really offer you this booth idea. Hublio was the platform that Jem, the last slide, chose. And so I looked at what my options were, and I built my booth to the best of my ability. If any of you are thinking of going to Abercams this year, you probably spent last week building your booth like I did. Abercams is the one for underrepresented in the biomedical sciences or life sciences. They chose the platform of Socio. I have to say, I haven't seen it because what they're asking us to do is building it by kind of like a Google survey, and then we'll see it built. So I don't really have anything yet to tell you on that. I think it's pronounced Hova or Huva. One of my recruiters used that one and said it was really good and really thought the chat feature was very good. Zoom, you are all familiar with. I'm not going to go on. Others, I'd like to talk about that. And then I'd also, after we talk a little bit about the various platforms and I get some feedback, I'd like to talk about, with the last minute or so, some best practices that we can all use. So, all right, I see Andrew in the chat. The platforms that are virtual fairs have been all international. Yakit, hold on, Udentity. And Andrew, can you just speak a moment? Did you like them? What did you like? What did you dislike?
Some of them were overly complicated was my main issue. And I personally am a fan of sort of the simplistic Zoom with breakout rooms, because as you well know, we can spend a lot of time setting these up. Yocket and Endless Fairs probably took me 2 or 3 hours to set up, I would guess.
Okay. Well, and that's it. There are a lot of issues. I know on that slide, that Gem virtual booth, it was a 2-day fair, and they forgot to tell people how to interact on Friday. And so students weren't getting to us, we weren't getting to them. And so Saturday's fair was much better, but there's all this learning curve with putting everything online. Okay, so is it pronounced Charisse Jones-Branch? She's been participating using Handshake. Charisse, do you want to tell us the pros, the cons? Okay, well, no need if you don't wish to speak, or if you can't because of technology. Handshake, I have heard it can be a little bumpy. And so I think the thing to remember with all of these is that a lot of these have been around before, but they had never been put to the test, A, in this manner for recruitment, or B, to this extent. And so one of my suggestions is to really take some time and learn the platform that you are going to be using for a fair. Now, that's really hard for those of us in recruitment, because typically right now in October, we have something every day, some event every day. So hopefully you'll find some time, or hopefully they'll just become easier. Let's see, Jessica Coffin has used Handshake, Zoom, okay, AirMeet and EagleLink. Jessica, can you tell us a little bit about AirMeet and EagleLink? I haven't heard of those.
So AirMeet, I haven't actually used it yet, but we had to create accounts the other day. But it was super cute. So you can go back in and see like an actual little table and there's little chairs around the table.
Oh,
And
nice.
apparently people can just click on their seat that's available, and they can come into your virtual booth. So I'm not sure how it's actually going to work day of, but so far it was easy to set up.
Okay, so it was easy to set up. Did you build the booth, or did you fill out a survey to build the booth?
I filled out a survey. I had to
Okay.
create an account, and then one of the institutions, they created the table. So when I actually logged in yesterday, there were other tables as well that were already built. So that was nice to see who was attending. And then Eagle Link, that is an internal virtual booth, I suppose. So that is with Winthrop, and I am currently using it today. So if you see me leave, it's because I'm still recruiting right now.
We are all still recruiting, my friend. We are in this till mid-November. Just have your soda. Pop that can.
But so that was actually, it was kind of difficult setting things up because I was confused the entire time and saying all types of words with trying to set it up, but actually using it is the easiest thing ever. It's super easy. So I don't know if you guys can find a system that's similar, but if you can,
and some institutions most likely have created it. Ours typically depends on Zoom. But Cheryl Doss, you said you've used, is it pronounced Hova, Wova, and Brazen? And so Brazen is your favorite so far. Can you talk a little bit about Hova and Brazen? Cheryl, please.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Hova or what. It was fine. I did have a little bit of difficulties scheduling meetups.
Okay.
So it was actually part of a conference that I attended that also had a fair, and so I had difficulty getting meetups scheduled, and they worked. I mean, it was fine, but it wasn't as user friendly as I was hoping it would be. I thought Brazen was really good. I'm trying to think who used that. I don't remember. You know, fairs, they all start to run together after a while. But I liked it because I had a video chat or a chat box feature.
Fantastic. So you could actually video chat on Brazen.
You could video chat on Brazen.
That is not one that I have seen. I have seen regular chat box and whatnot. So that's good to know. Is Brazen typically domestic or international, or it's anything?
I'm not sure. Because I was attending, I wasn't hosting.
No, and that's also going to be a difference.
Right.
But I'd like to think we can learn from attending how to be better hosts.
Exactly. Yes.
And Handshake, you also had some issues with Handshake?
Well, Handshake I think is user friendly, but the thing of it is the students have to make an appointment to do one-on-ones or to attend a 30-minute session. So those are the only options that I've been aware of, is either one-on-ones or 30-minute sessions, and you have to decide ahead of time if you're going to have a 30-minute session or a one-on-one.
And that is also something, some options give you that. So if you're registered for a fair, an externally hosted fair, remember to pay attention to how to get the data into your booth, but also how they want you to connect. Hopefully they will send you information. If not, you will hear about it in the booth the way we did at the Gem Fair. Okay, so we have a question actually from Jamilah about the general cost of the virtual booth platform. Okay, so right now we've been focusing on registering for fairs. I have found that the fairs this year, for the most part, not Abercam's, but for the most, well, actually Abercam somewhat, but for the most part, fairs have been either equal to last year or less. And typically you don't pay extra to use the booth. Now, we could switch this conversation in a second to if we hosted. Has anyone here hosted using a booth? At University of Georgia, we use Zoom. Our big events are all next week, and we've been pretty happy with Zoom. I will say, we kind of shied away from the breakout rooms because it always takes a few minutes to get everybody in the breakout rooms. So what we're doing is we've asked the various rooms to send us their link, and we're going to send the students various links to jump into those rooms instead. Okay, okay, there it is. See, Bruno said from free to about $700, depends on the college, with Handshake. Zoom and Slate. Although I'm in Slate, I haven't used it for hosting events. Does anybody have any good or bad to say about Slate as an event platform?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, so over the summer, we were hosting information sessions just through Slate, and that was it. The back end, it started to get a little weird because you can have the chat function, but the words and what they were asking, it wasn't coming through. So we would be presenting, but we couldn't see the questions. So we were
That's an
thinking that
interesting one.
nothing was happening, but then when we exit out, then everything would pop up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no. So now if you go into Slate, they have this new function where you can choose either external or internal platform. So if you choose external, you can choose, you can use a different platform. So we incorporated Zoom, and
Okay.
we put
Jessica,
that.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to cut you off because we have to keep moving on.
Oh, sorry.
No, Jessica, you're fine. You're wonderful. But Andrew's going to cover that in his next session on international recruitment. So hold that thought and bring it up with Andrew. Last, best practices. Does anyone have any good best practices that they've learned about? I can go first. I would say if you're the host, send out directions. Do a webinar before so that people understand what they're doing before they get to the actual event. If you're creating a booth for an external recruitment event, don't do it the day before. Do it like a week before, because a lot of times the options are going to both vary in terms of what you can do, but also where the location is. So sometimes you're going to need to gather materials in a certain, let's say, pixel size. So with that, I know I'm at the end of my time. And Jessica, please do talk about Zoom, but I'm going to turn it over to Andrew.
So actually, we're gonna we've got Ricardo Tapia, who's going to talk a little bit. That's okay. Ricardo is at East Tennessee State University. I was fortunate enough to be able to hire him in March, the week before we shut down and went virtual. So, and then he's going to talk about domestic intern or events that we are hosting. And then Andrew is going to talk about international. So Ricardo?
Okay, yeah. So thank you for having me. And then just to be clear, I have 5 minutes, correct?
Ish, yeah.
Okay, all right. So this is a large topic that we've implemented. It's a large project. And so essentially what it is an opportunity for programs to be able to showcase the program that they have. And so what I've done is that I'm creating the platform. We've integrated it with the CRM. We're able to capture the information from students. And so we're able to promote this for programs, which is huge for a lot of programs that may not have the budget, especially now, to be able to promote or even have, active social media accounts. And so the market that we work with is highly specialized. The students know exactly what they want. And so as they're searching for schools, they're searching for a program. And so what this gives us is the ability to be able to show all these different info sessions that we have. And I've designed them to be only 30 minutes because we're all very busy. A lot of our students, are either working professionals or they're in between classes. And so we're scheduling them in between the typical lunch hours or in the evening. And so that way, when a student comes across this, they're able to see that it's only 30 minutes and schedule it in their day. In terms of the partnerships that we're creating in order to help promote this, I think more than ever is, we were talking about this earlier in the conversation, is that, one of the silver linings with the current environment that we're in is that we're seeing the emphasis in creating multilateral partnerships. And so what I've done is I've partnered with our undergraduate admissions teams, our honors college, alumni association, people in our alumni association that work with corporate partnerships, our IT, and most importantly, our graduate programs themselves. And I'll kind of explain how each come into play. So in terms of the CRM integration, the way that this is set up, you're looking at the registration page right now. When somebody clicks on the register button, it'll take them to a registration page, which is created in our CRM. And so a new student who hasn't reached out to us before, who isn't part of our current email campaigns, we're able to capture their information and put them into our inquiry email campaigns. And so as we work towards that ultimate goal of the enrollment funnel, we're able to maintain that communication with them. But also, whenever somebody registers, we're able to capture that information and get it to the program themselves so that they can also follow up with a more organic, personal touch that they can communicate with the student. And so additionally, what we've done is that on the main registration page that you're seeing here, we've embedded the Data Studio Google Analytics tracking code. And so we're able to see where our students are visiting from. We're able to capture that information, how many views we've gotten. And this right here, this is this main CRM registration page that I was talking about. When somebody enters the information on here, this is where we're able to get them into our email campaign. In terms of the promotion, again, not a lot of programs have a high budget to be able to invest in the marketing aspect of this. And so what we're able to do is that we're able to partner with programs, and we're able to help them with this piece. We've been creating video, and we've been creating content, graphic content that we're able to then post and promote on our social media accounts as we're leading up to each individual event. We're also, this is where the creating the partnerships comes into play. For example, with our alumni association, one thing that we're doing is that we're putting this information on the monthly newsletter that our alumni team sends out, but they also send out a weekly email update to all of our alum. And so we're able to have this information listed on there as well, because even if somebody has already graduated with a master's degree, they may still be working towards a certificate program or another promotion. And so if they see one of our info sessions that we have coming up that they feel may help them with that next step, this is an opportunity for them to be able to know what's going on, knowing that we're still active, trying to reach out to our students. In terms of the program partnerships, so the programs themselves, the graduate programs, they have unique relationships that they've already established that we may not know of. For example, our sociology program, as a case example, they took it upon themselves, and it's been working phenomenal. We've gotten a lot of people registering for their event. What they've done is that they contacted their undergraduate counterparts. They contacted community organizations that they have relationships with. They've contacted partnerships that they have at other institutions, at community colleges, for example, or another institution that may be a top feeder school. And so they're able to also leverage that, those relationships that they have in place to help continue the growth of this. And at the end, once somebody has attended, we have a follow-up email that's a very short survey, because again, we want to continue to evolve and adapt this. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure that students are getting the information that they need. And so that survey is very critical in order to be able to capture that. So I kind of just flew through a lot of information because I wanted to make sure that I had enough time here if anybody had any questions about that.
Ricardo, there's a question in the chat. Have you found good ways to motivate individual grad programs to take on recruiting?
So this is actually, one, it's been very effective to do this type of platform because, again, what I'm doing is that I'm creating the platform. I'm doing all the work essentially, and all they have to do is schedule a date, show up for 30 minutes. And so for them, again, the programs that may not have a very large recruiting budget or marketing budget, this is much more feasible for them. They don't have to travel. They don't have to worry about printing material because as we're communicating with students during these live sessions, this is integrated with Zoom. I did forget to mention that when somebody registers, they get an automatic email with the Zoom link. And so when we're talking with students, we're able to show them everything, we're able to take them through our website. And so that's been very critical for programs, and it's been very important for them that they're realizing that they're able to, it's much more manageable, I guess.
And Jennifer, this is Sharon, and I'll pop in to say that one of the other, Ricardo reached out to all the grad coordinators, and then they jumped on board, and then those that didn't and those that I felt should be taking advantage of this, I reached out to them as dean, and then they've all been contacting Ricardo. So so that sometimes a little pressure also helps. I think we're gonna switch gears though right now and move into international recruiting, and then we'll have a follow-up discussion after this. And so Andrew is going to, Andrew Goodliff from the University of Alabama.
All right, well, thank you, Sharon. So Sharon says, I'm Andrew Goodliff, Associate Dean at the University of Alabama. And one of the things I look after is recruitment. You're going to see a lot of parallels in what I'm going to say here with what Ricardo just said. But basically, we're applying the same problem to international students. The basic problem is, especially now, international students have many, many questions and concerns regarding coming to the US to study. And those concerns and questions, depending on government regulations, over the summer seem to change on almost a daily basis. So I really felt like over the summer, I spent a large part of my time responding to international student messages. And so it became clear that we needed to have a mechanism to keep them engaged and informed. And really, this was our goal, to make sure that we were ahead of the international prospects, anticipating their questions and answering their questions, and keeping them engaged and informed at all stages in the recruitment funnel as well, from all the way from prospects through to admitted and enrolled students. So if I can have the next slide. So our approach was to have live info sessions, and we actually used Slate for ours, and I'll show you some pictures of that in a moment. Again, these live info sessions were for prospects, applicants, and admitted students. These are all important parts of the recruitment funnel. Prospect names were coming from a number of places. We've been busy attending a lot of the virtual fairs, just like Lisa talked about. Older prospect names from older info sessions, agent meetings, wherever we could get prospects lists as well. And then also some of the info sessions that we ran were specific to some of our recruitment agents. So rather than it just being a fair that we ran from the University of Alabama, it was joint with one of our recruitment agencies. And so that gave us another mechanism to gather prospect names as well. And then also some of our sessions were department specific. We started out really with some College of Engineering and business school sessions. And that really helped a lot with getting their buy-in for the platform that we're using. And I'll talk about how that worked out in a moment. The good news was, just as Ricardo said, grad school was handling logistics for these department-specific fairs, so they just had to turn up. And then that also provided a good mechanism for us to get their prospect names. Now, right now, we're doing about 3 of these sessions per week. And, we're trying different time zones. We try to optimize that as well. If I can have the next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, the Slate CRM is very central to this process. It's been a great relief having Slate. Our previous CRM was not particularly well optimized for this. I think is that the diplomatic way of putting it. Slate handles all of the scheduling, the emails to the prospects, the applicants, the admitted students, our registration, and then importantly, the follow-up surveying. So right now, for the rest of the fall, we actually have all of our sessions up until December scheduled in the system. All of the communication plan is up and ready to go. We've just got to make sure that people turn up to run the sessions. So, you know, we've got a very automated communication plan in place. The registration form, we also ask students to submit questions ahead of time. That permits us to inform our presentations a little bit based on what the questions were. So obviously over the summer, the questions were the ever-changing, you know, big part of the questions were the ever-changing immigration regulations. With these sessions that are coming up, we have a standard PowerPoint template that our staff can use, just jump in and use it. And then the sort of questions that we're having the staff address, the sort of questions that we get the students asking are things like, you know, why the University of Alabama, application questions, funding, housing, all that sort of stuff. And then, you know, for international students, obviously the immigration regulations and that sort of thing. If I can have the next slide, please. So this gives an idea of what our system looks like. On the left-hand side, we have our registration form, so the students can sign up there. Bottom right-hand side is the Slate video player we're using. Now, we typically have been doing our sessions in two different modes. One is using the native Slate video player, and then also, as was mentioned, you can embed Zoom into Slate as well. So the advantages we found with the native Slate video player is, as you can see in my image, there's some names of participants listed. If one of those participants is a University of Alabama applicant or prospect, I can actually click on that and bring up any information that I have about that student. So, you know, if they have questions about the status of their application, I can very quickly bring that information up just by clicking on their name. And so that has been very, very useful. The downside with the embedded Slate video player, it's not quite as user-friendly as Zoom is, but it's a little bit more versatile. Anyway, that's what I've got. So if there are any questions, that would be great.
Jamila's our timekeeper. How are we doing on time, Jamilah?
The timer just went off of you here in the background.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, let me cancel that. So if we want to go to the next session, and maybe we'll have time, because I think there may be a lot of questions about how we do, even
Sure,
with diversity and intentionality behind that. So.
Sure. So we'll move into international recruitment, which Jamilah will talk about, and then we will kind of store up all this discussion for the end.
Great. So again, I'm Jamilah McDonald. I'm an assistant professor here at Morehouse School of Medicine. In my administrative role, I'm the Director of Assessment and Operations for the Graduate Education Biomedical Science Division at Morehouse School of Medicine. So what that mouthful really means is that I do have a part in recruitment, and I have a great team. Actually, our assistant director of the graduate program is also online, who really kind of leads this initiative and for us as a school. We can go to the next slide. So Morehouse School of Medicine, we're kind of unique. We are a standalone professional and graduate school. So what that means is we do not offer undergraduate courses. So we're kind of unique in that aspect. And although Morehouse College shares the same name as us, we are totally different institutions. So we don't have a pipeline of undergraduate students that we contact regularly. However, we are part of the Atlanta University Consortium, which is one of the largest HBCU conglomerates in the nation, which consists of Clark Atlanta University, Morehouse College, Spelling College, and of course, Morehouse School of Medicine. So in our school, we have 4 divisions and 11 graduate degree programs. So in those 4 divisions, what we've really been intentional on is building on our existing relationships, because with diversity and with most HBCUs, the biggest draw in for us is our relationship. So we have existing relationships with other HBCUs and MSIs, and we've been really intentional. And I think Andrew kind of not Andrew, Ricardo kind of talked about this, really getting our divisions on one accord to kind of really focus and hone in on recruiting, because as a small institution with 11 graduate degree programs, you don't want to have 11 people going after one school. You want to have a united front as an institution that this is an important effort for you, and that those students at that institution are important to you. So Morehouse School of Medicine doesn't have a diversity office, and we don't have budget for special initiatives on diversity, because diversity is pretty much the mission of our institution. We were founded to increase the diversity in the scientific and healthcare workforce. So with that being said, we have always had kind of a rotation of schools that we visit, being intentional about the students that we are targeting. And we have now transformed that into a virtual tour. So we would go out, of course, when we could, to schools on the East Coast and the West Coast, including your HBCUs. So now, for example, with the schools in the DMV area, we have one organized event, which is coming up again on Thursday at 6 o'clock. So this will be our first event. And similar to the other platforms you are using, we're using Zoom. Again, with us having a smaller budget, we haven't had the investment in the different technology platforms that others on the call have had, but we've been able to work with our Zoom platform to create those virtual rooms. And again, a lot of us have spoken about how difficult it is to break out or organize breakout rooms. So we have the different graduate programs who will provide a different Zoom link in order to come into those sessions where they're more interested in. So my question to you all is, what's the biggest challenge for you in increasing diversity on your campus in this virtual platform, and how are you going about helping to offset those challenges or mitigate those challenges? Anyone? Are there people on here? I'm not a diversity officer, but are there people on here that have things that they've done in the past that they're considering doing virtually to attract a diverse population of students?
So Jamilah, I'll jump in. This is Andy Goodliff from the University of Alabama.
Thanks, Andy.
So I guess for us, some of the diversity recruitment, one of the great things is it's actually allowed us to expand our reach a little bit. So we've actually been able to go to, more fairs than we would have. So it's actually, there's been, at some level, it's been an opportunity in just, increasing our outreach.
Thank you, Andy.
This is Cheryl at James Madison University. We started a new initiative last year called Thrive. And I'm sorry, but I don't remember what the acronym stands for. But basically it is, and I use this in recruiting, it is meant to be and is a group for underrepresented populations. And so, and what Thrive does is they have affinity groups, so that, because we find sometimes in graduate education, students are in their cohort, but they don't really, it's difficult sometimes to go beyond their cohort because they're not living on campus. But through Thrive, any group can find an affinity group that has the same interests as they do. And so we're really emphasizing that in all of our recruitment, domestic and international.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
This is Texas State University. We actually have a special event that we host every semester for first generation students. I'm not sure if that's a targeted population that other schools are honing in on, but we have a special event that's sort of a panel discussion from alumni, from faculty members, staff members, current graduate students, just a mix of different people in different phases of their programs, and they talk really about sort of just their experiences, which is